Today I'm making the ultimate coconut pound cake. A lot of the older recipes you find, you have to have the butter at a certain temperature and the eggs at a certain temperature, and it got its name really because in the olden days it was a pound of flour, a pound of butter, a pound of sugar, but the ratios have changed these days to make it a little lighter, a little more forgiving. And the one thing we're gonna do is start with cake flour. This is 2 cups of cake flour, and that'll go a long way to not having a really dense, heavy pound cake. Now to that, we're gonna add some leavener. This is baking powder. We're gonna add a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of table salt, and these are the dry ingredients. Just gonna whisk them together, and we're gonna set them aside while we put together the wet ingredients. And for the wet ingredients, we're gonna use the food processor because it really helps emulsify the butter into the eggs, and that's always the trickiest part about pound cake. So we're gonna start with some sugar. It's a cup of sugar. We're gonna add it right to the food processor. Next up, some cream of coconut. Now this is what really is gonna give that coconut flavor. We tried using coconut milk, but actually the fat levels vary dramatically in coconut milk, and it didn't give us a strong flavor like the cream of coconut. So we're gonna use 3/4 of a cup of cream of coconut. And if you make pina coladas, you know this stuff pretty well. In the supermarket, it's usually found with sort of the cocktail mixers. Using an adjustable measuring cup makes it easy. Right into the food processor. All right, next up, some eggs. Now these eggs are definitely at room temperature. I've had them sitting out for a while. We're gonna crack them right into the food processor. So if you don't have room temperature eggs and you're using them right from the fridge, a quick tip is to put them in a bowl, cover them with hot water, and they'll come up to room temperature within a few minutes. Now for the extract. We're gonna use a good amount of vanilla extract, 1.5 teaspoons. Measure this right into the food processor. And this is the kicker, it's coconut extract. Now, you can't find it everywhere. There's a couple supermarkets around here that do have it. Worth checking out. Can't use too much of it. If you overdo it, it will taste like suntan lotion. A little goes a long way. So we're just gonna add 1/2 teaspoon into the food processor. Put the lid on, we're gonna let this rip about 10 seconds until it's nice and combined and uniform. All right, that looks pretty good. Next, we're gonna add the butter, and this is the finicky ingredient. And to make it really efficient, I have melted butter here. This is 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's melted and hot. And by adding it to the food processor while the blade's running, it just makes a nice emulsion so the cake batter is good and emulsified. So, food processor on, butter through the feed tube. All right, that's good. So after I added the melted butter, I let it go for about a minute, really to make sure it's nice and combined. And that's it. I love food processor cakes. They really take the guesswork out of a lot of the mixing. All right, so I'm gonna pour this into a nice big bowl. Coconut always makes me think of nice warm weather. So this is a cake I like to serve in the summertime with just some fresh berries, a little whipped cream, sometimes some ice cream if you have it, or just in the morning with a cup of coffee. It is a real treat. Now we're gonna sift the flour mixture into this liquid. That's because cake flour can clump up a bit, so by using a strainer, you get any clumps out, so it's a nice smooth batter. Gonna do this in 3 parts. So I'm gonna add about 1/3 of the flour mixture, sift it over the top, and we're gonna whisk it in. All right, repeat with some more flour. All right, last little bit of flour here. There we go. Sift it over the top of the batter, whisk it in. All right, into the loaf pan it goes. Now I've already prepped the pan with baking spray, which is that combination of flour and fat. If you didn't have that, you could just butter the pan and then add the flour and tap it out. Now this is a smaller pan. This is an 8.5 by 4.5 inch pan, which is on the smaller side, and I love this pan. But this batter also works with pans that are a bit larger. A lot of pans are 9 inches by 5 inches. That would work too. All right. All right, a few wraps on the counter, get out any big air bubbles. That's pretty good. Into the oven it goes. This is a 350-degree oven, so that's gonna take about 50, 60 minutes. Of course, I'm gonna rotate it halfway through. That just ensures that it'll bake through evenly. Now it is time to check that coconut cake. Oh, the smell is good. All right, now the best way to tell if it's done is to take a wooden skewer. We're gonna poke it right in the middle. You want it to come out with no batter on it, just a few moist crumbs. Oh, that looks good. Nice and cooked through. All right, perfectly baked. I'm gonna let this cool in the pan about 10 minutes, let it firm up. Then I'm gonna take it out of the pan and let it cool completely. I'll put this on the back counter to rest. It's time for coconut pound cake. I'm gonna slice right into this. It's nice and cool. I really let this cool to room temperature. And I don't slice the whole thing all at once because Uncle Rip likes to take home a big chunk of it. So I'm just gonna cut a few slices. Hearty slices, mind you. And this is good as a nice summery dessert, also great with coffee or tea in the afternoon. Oh yeah, you can see that nice texture. It's very delicate, not like that standard really heavy pound cake. You can serve it perfectly on its own. I like adding a little whipped cream. Oh yeah, a little on the loose side. That's how I like my whipped cream. A couple raspberries. Now for a little taste. Cake raspberry whipped cream. Perfect. It has so much flavor with that coconut. It's like a little surprise. You weren't expecting it. And it's so tropical tasting, perfect for summer. Perfect way to end the meal. See you next time. Thanks for watching. What'd you think? Leave a comment below and let me know what you're excited to cook this week. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You can get today's recipes and more for free at our website, americastestkitchen.com/JuliaAtHome.